Something amazing just got better thanks to a new study. As the end of March draws near, new information suggests that Ripple might be going public, which could send the price of XRP through the roof, reaching an unbelievable $1, 0 cents, 42.70. At first glance, 30% might not seem like a lot, but it's a big chunk of the banking. Ripple is said to be working with almost a third of the world's bank, which is very interesting, and we have all the proof you need. In this section, the question is whether these banks are using Ripple to its fullest potential, which doesn't seem to be the case. We'll talk about this topic in more detail today. $8.97 in a little over a month. Welcome back to Help Coin, the place where you can learn everything about XRP. Before we get to the meat of today's post, let's quickly catch up. Please do me a favor, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and click the bell and like buttons to join our awesome group. Also, as we get closer to 8,000 subscribers, we'll be giving away a huge amount of XRP. To enter, just do these 3 simple things, so make sure you're ready and tuned in. As a fun twist, don't forget to leave a code for money in the comments. SBI holds about 4% of all deposits made through foreign bank accounts in the big. Think about it. SBI could be a big 4% of the 30% global banking market, and it can use Ripple's technology. But that's just a start. Ripple has also made a big deal with the Brazilian central bank to offer its on-demand funding services. That's just one piece of the world puzzle. If you watched my last video, you may remember that we talked about the BRICS countries and how they all like China, Brazil, South Africa. There are direct links between Russia and India, and Ripple for on-demand liquidity and central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs. If you compare the world's GDP to that of just the BRICS countries, you can see that they make up about 29% of the world's economic output. What if all 5 of if the BRICS countries decide to work with Ripple together, the effects could be huge. I talked a lot about this in a previous video where I talked about how easy it is to add CBDCs to the XRP ledger and what steps are already being taken. The XRP ledger is very important right now. It's a big part of how the economy is changing. As we look forward to the next bull market, the possibilities for Ripple's technology grow even more. After the Federal Reserve made a public statement, the talk about Ripple's growing role in financial technology took a big turn. They said that both XRP and XLM could be very important in helping to build the blockchain base for their new Fed. Now you can pay with the Federal Reserve. Working with Metal Blockchain was a big step toward making the switch from fiat to stablecoin smooth. This would help close the gap between traditional banking systems and the decentralized finance sector. Right now, Americans can make fast payments within the US, mostly through third-party apps like Venmo and PayPal, or digital cryptocurrency wallets. But the FedNow service will change everything. The platform is still in its test stage, but over 120 organizations have already signed up to use it, including well-known banks like US Bank and Exchange Bank, as well as a number of payment processors and solution providers. Not only does this event show that blockchain technology is becoming more popular and used in everyday life, services for money, but it's also a big step forward for established banks in the new world of decentralized finance as a leader in better cross-border payment solutions and distributed ledger technology. Ripple is going to be very important to the Fed. Stellar Lumens XLM, which is known for its blockchain-powered network that speeds up and lowers the cost of sending money around the world, is also likely to be added to the FedNow ecosystem. This is where the story takes an interesting turn. Not long ago, 30% of banks around the world started using XRP, which caused its value to skyrocket to $1, 0 cents, 42.70. It's an amazing development that shows how Bitcoin and banks can make things different. The fact that 30% of the world's banks now accept XRP as a cross-border payment has caused its value to skyrocket to $256 billion, 0 cents. This huge increase in adoption shows that a lot of people want XRP, which has driven its price to all-time highs and its market capitalization through the roof. The rise of XRP is good for Ripple and could make people money. The story gets more interesting when it's revealed that XRP has a market share of almost 30%. This means that it will be used even more in the global financial system. In a shocking turn of events, it was said just 6 days ago that XRP transactions could go over $120. 0 cents. There is no changing the fact that banks are beginning to use the XRP system and its digital assets in more ways. No longer is Ripple's buyback plan just a guess. It's becoming real faster than anyone thought it would. In a recent news story, it was said that the company that created XRP is not only thinking about buying it, but they are also doing it. This shows that a lot of people are sure about XRP's value in the future of finance. Things get more complicated when it comes out that the Federal Reserve is not just watching from the sidelines, but wants to make XRP a central part of global payment systems. If central banks around the world agree, if more people started using XRP, its value could go through the roof and reach $12,000, 0 cents, to $22,000, 0 cents per coin. This would have huge effects. It has been confirmed that Google's insights are in line with this path, which backs up the Federal Reserve's plans to use XRP as a global payment option because it is so flexible. These events are a big step forward for Ripple and XRP. They put them at the forefront of financial innovation and could change the way payments are made around the world. As promised, we have some shocking papers that were leaked and are about to tell you about them. There are more and more signs that the Federal Reserve has been involved in. There have been rumors that the Federal Reserve will start accepting XRP around the world starting a few weeks ago. This was supposed to happen by the end of 2023, but there were delays that weren't expected. As a result, XRP wasn't widely used as a legally recognized currency right away after regulators gave the go-ahead. Now, XRP is mentioned along with well-known currencies issued by governments and central banks like the US dollar, the euro, the British pound, and the Canadian dollar. But things get more complicated when it comes out that the Federal Reserve wants to use the XRP digital asset. Google readers show that a government official says that XRPL's public chain, an expert says this plan would let Federal Reserve funds work directly with new ideas in the private sector. This would allow people to work together and make huge steps forward in technology. This is just the beginning, says the head of the U.S. Federal Reserve.